All right, today we are going to do a little language hacking. We're going to look at this strange little quirk in English that you use all the time. But I promise you, how it works is probably the exact opposite of what you think, and it's going to completely flip your idea of how words are even made.
So let's start with a question. Which of these do you think came first? You've got television, the thing, the box, and you've got televise, the action of broadcasting on it. Now, your gut probably tells you that we had the action first, right? And then we named the thing that came from it. But what if I told you that's totally wrong?
Yep, the noun came first. The word television existed before we had the verb to televise. It feels completely backwards, doesn't it? We named the machine before we had a simple word for what it actually did. So how on earth is that possible? How do you get a verb from a noun by working in reverse?
Well, this little linguistic magic trick has a name. It's called backformation. And it's this super interesting process where language grows not by adding stuff on, but by taking things away. Think of it less like building with blocks and more like sculpting, chipping away at a bigger piece to find a new shape inside.
So here's the core idea. Backformation is all about subtraction. We take a longer word, usually a noun, and we do a bit of linguistic surgery. We just chop off what we think is an ending, a suffix like ion or, to uncover this shorter, simpler verb that was hiding in there all along. Let's look at how this compares to the normal way words get made. Usually we start with a verb, something simple like act, and we add a suffix like or to make the noun for the person who does it, an actor. See? The arrow moves forward. But backformation flips that arrow completely around. We start with the noun, television, and we work backwards, lopping off that ion to create the verb, televise. And once you know what you're looking for, you start to see this literally everywhere. The English language is packed with these backwards-born words. Let's do a few quick examples just to get your brain firing on this pattern. Think about this one. The idea of having emotions is as old as humanity, but the verb to emote, which kind of means to show those feelings in a dramatic way, that was carved out of the original noun way, way later. And here's another one. The noun donation came first. For a long, long time, you would make a donation. But eventually, people just wanted a shortcut. It was more efficient to snip off the ending and just say donate. It just felt right, Okay, last one. You could be full of enthusiasm, but the verb to enthuse was actually a later invention, reverse engineered directly from that noun. Are you seeing the pattern here? Our language is always looking for these little hacks to make things quicker. Now, let's get into the most common trigger for this whole thing. There's a very specific pattern our brains are basically hardwired to look for, and it has everything to do with people who do jobs. This is a really powerful mental shortcut. You know how in English we add or to a verb to name the person who does it? A writer writes, a painter paints, a director directs. Well, our brains see that pattern so often that we just assume it works in reverse too. We see a word like editor, and our brain just automatically thinks, well, there must be a verb in there, to edit.
And here are two perfect examples. We got the word sculptor from Latin. English speakers looked at that word and basically said, well, a sculptor must sculpt, and boom, a new verb was born. Same thing with babysitter. We had the name for the person first, and from that, we worked backwards to create the verb to babysit.
Okay, but this is where it gets really interesting. This super useful pattern matching machine we have in our heads, well, sometimes it gets things hilariously wrong. Our brain's desire to find a verb can sometimes lead us down a path that goes absolutely nowhere. I mean, logically, it should, right? If there's a person who does a thing, there must be a word for the thing they do. But language isn't always logical. It's messy, it's weird, it's full of exceptions. So what happens when our brain tries to apply this neat little rule to words where it just doesn't belong? This is what happens. It makes perfect sense that a teacher teaches. But if you follow that exact same logic, does a butcher butch? No, absolutely not. Or what about a helicopter? It ends in so does it helicopt? Of course not. This is a fantastic example of our brain's autocorrect feature just going completely off the rails. Exactly. These words just don't exist. Our brain tries to make them because it's following a rule that works 90% of the time, but in these cases, it just hits a brick wall. The logic is sound, but the word, nope, not found. It's a funny little glitch in the system. So now that you know all about backformation, this wild process of making words by going backwards, I want to leave you with one final little puzzle. It's one that plays right on the edge of this rule we've been talking about.
So, what do you think? We have the noun burglar, a person who does something. So, following the pattern, can we backform the verb to burgle? Is burgle a real, legitimate word? Or is it just another trick our brain is playing on us, like butch or helicopter? The answer, well, that might just surprise you.